Today you're going to see the Edlebrock E-210 heads go on the Vega here. Right now we're taking the old valve springs off World Sportsman 2s. Basically the Edlebrock E-210s came provisioned for a hydraulic roller camshaft or a flat tappet camshaft. They weren't set up for a solid roller camshaft. What that means is that the valve springs, seat pressures, and spring rates were just not enough. Called up Edlebrock and they confirmed this suspicion. Basically the seat pressure was 145 pounds and the spring rate was like 380, which is not nearly enough for solid roller, which is usually up near the 300s for seat pressure and then 600 plus for spring rates. So basically they just weren't enough to handle this camshaft that we were throwing at it. So contacted Edlebrock. They suggested that we switch to valve springs. They gave us a part number, but that part number is not available until August, which was had a 753 pound spring rate, then like 360 on the seat pressure. So quite a big improvement over what they got in there. The camshaft is a Comp Cams 12964-9. So basically Edlebrock was able to look up the specs of that cam and also compare it to the what's in the head. So they gave a part number. So instead of waiting until August, we decided that basically the valve springs in the World Sportsman 2s should suffice, because guess what? They were already running with this cam, so nothing is different except for the aluminum heads. So we're going to take them off right here and start putting them onto the aluminum heads. As you see, we're basically taking off the old softer springs. You can even tell by how much force it's taking me to, I basically remove that valve spring, and then how much force it takes me to compress the other spring to get it to go on. Right here, no force at all, comes right off, keepers are out. And you can just tell by the general design of the actual valve spring. The ones on the Edlebrock here right now are actually they only have 2 springs in them. Obviously less spring rate, less seat pressure. They don't need as much of a spring there. They're a little bit shorter than the ones that I'm putting on. I'm pretty sure the ones that I'm putting on are also a Comp Cam, but there's no part number on them to actually verify that. But they have 3 springs, obviously. The keepers are a little beefier, and then the actual retainers are quite a bit thicker as well. So the actual spring overall is taller, but ends up having the same exact open height, and then the same as, or a little bit different of a compressed height. But nonetheless, they should work just fine. You see that there's some of those washers that I'm leaving there at the bottom. Basically, the bottom of the Edlebrock heads there already have like a seat position for them, so they actually works out very well. And I don't think we really need those. We'll measure later, but we'll be okay without them. Sometimes I get a little scared to call the professionals and ask them what their opinion is and ask them what the right parts are, but that's probably the number one thing we all should get used to doing, is call them up, ask the question, say, hey, I got this, this, and this. Will this all work together? And they're going to tell you yes. There's about 1,000 different parts. There's millions of different parts, millions of different combinations, so might as well get the professional's opinion. There's Dad showing off his new torque wrench. We got some new AC Delco torque wrench digitals that'll basically scream at you when you're ready. A little bit better than that old click wrench bad boy we used to use from the old hobo freight there, but basically it's going to make installing these heads a lot easier. It's a nice unit. I'm going to go ahead and give these heads a whack, or give the valves right a whack on there to make sure everything's seated right. We're going to move on to the second head here. Take everything off, put it all back in. Hey, Twisted Tea, sponsor me, you know what I mean? No good garage night happens without a Twisted Tea, you know what I mean? fastening them up, basically get your favorite gasket sealer. I think I'm just using Permatex good old gasket sealer. It's worked on me for 2 engines so far and nothing's leaked. Basically just put a little dab around the threads there. Basically you do this because most of these threads go into the block, into the water passage. You don't want them leaking up into your heads. Sequence of the heads. Edlebrock provided the torque sequence in their instructions, but you can get it in any book or any even Google search, especially if you're rebuilding a small block. Get the David Vizard's How to Rebuild a Small Block Chevy. The book itself, as far as the pictures and stuff goes, a little dated, a lot of cooler tools out there, but the process is still the same. It's very simple. Basically start at that center bolt and work your way to the right, then down, then left, then up, then right, then down, then left, and up, and just work your way from the inside out. Basically it just goes that way, so you're jumping across. What it does is make sure you're getting everything seated and the gasket's making its way. You're going to start at 25 foot-pounds and jump up to 45 foot-pounds. Then your third and final is going to be the 75 foot-pounds. On that last stage, I like to hit the bolts a couple of times. Do the sequence 2 or 3 times, make sure I hit them all correctly. Didn't leave one behind. Just one head bolt being off could be the difference between you leaking and not leaking. Like I said, you hit it with your favorite gasket sealer so that it doesn't leak any water up into the heads there, and then you're pretty much good to go. This is where we're using the new AC Delco torque wrench there. It's a pretty nice unit. Got on Amazon, $170 for a 3/8 and then a 1/2 inch drive, which is really nice. Actually, it's a good price. Comes with this calibration certificate, so you know your stuff's calibrated, at least when you get it. You drop it one time or hit it against something, it might be a different story, but as of right now, you know, it's calibrated, so I know that my heads are basically torqued to where I want them to be. So you're going to see me go through and muscle these through. That's going to be pretty much the next few steps in the video. future wife was talking a little bit of trash here, so I decided to let her give it her best shot. Notice the Impatient Garage hoodie there, the Ramblin' Ramblers featured there, which is really nice. Might have some merch coming out. I mean, we'll see whoever buys it. It's gonna be pretty much family and me just wearing them. So basically, you're gonna see we're gonna just keep torquing this side too. Like I said, I let her get in there. She gave up, couldn't even get one. But that's okay. That's why I'm. So right here I'm dropping the comp Magnum push rods in there. Basically we measured these out the other day, and they're appropriate for this camshaft and this head. The old motor already had a plus one push rod in there, so these are the same ones that we used in the old engine. We're going to reuse them again. You'll see I took the blow gun, I'm blowing out down the center of them, the oil passage out of them. Basically, you never know what gets in there and stuff gets stuck. Heck, you should even do this on your new push rods. I've ordered a new set of push rods, and I've had some debris in that oiling passage that actually blocks some oil flow. So make sure you clean these out, take a good look down them, shine them up in some light, just so that you can see them. You never know what's going to be in there blocking the oil to your heads, which is going to be detrimental to your engine surviving or not. Here's where we're going to start putting the Harland Sharp rocker, roller rockers on there actually. I got these from Summit. If you go down to Summit, pretty much anyone that's near you, you're going to have a clearance rack, and that's a nice thing. You start going through the clearance rack. If you get there when they first put stuff out, you'll find a lot of small block Chevy stuff. So these rockers actually came off that shelf for a discount. I mean, it was 16 rockers, and as well as all the poly locks for them. We're not going to use the poly locks on these ones. Basically, the reason is we want to go with stud mount girdles. So we got different studs here, or different poly locks with a girdle from Summit Racing. You're going to find out later that we run into a little bit of issue with those, especially with these Harland Sharp rockers. But heck, we got these things on such a discount. It's awesome. I think we got them for over 50% off. Which is they're a fantastic set. It's going to go really good with this engine. I think it's going to work out really well. You also see that we're taking the oil can, we're squirting a couple doses down into the actual push rods there, just to help a little bit. We've already doused the lifters a little bit. We're also doing the ball ends of the rockers there. Basically what this does is, provides a little lubrication, a little oil film on it, just to help them survive through any of the initial startup process, because you're going to have a little second where it's, a little dry. We try to basically, after a long winter, after any long shutdown, rotate the engine over with the starter. Wait till we see at least 20 psi of oil pressure before we actually go ahead and give it some fuel to start. Basically what that does is just make sure you have oil going, and you're not going to dry start this thing and cause some issues. Edlebrock, you actually have to adjust the push rod guides in here, so that's what I'm doing. This on the number 3 cylinder there looked a little off, and it looked like it was a little off to the left. So I'm going to loosen up the actual valve, or the actual push rod guide there, and try to slide it over. There's not as much adjustment as you would think. You almost got to pull it out and grind it. This one kind of worked out, but I know I got a couple on the other side that are going to need to be grinded out, just to give me a little bit better geometry. They're sitting a little far to one side versus the other, and I'm not really liking that. I don't want to push awkwardly onto the valve stem there and actually start prematurely wearing the guides. We don't want to do that on these brand new heads. Everything looks so nice, and I think it's going to work out so well. Basically, we're trying to use the poly locks here for the stud mount girdle that came from Summit Racing. It's the correct one, but you see it gets really tight really quick there. Basically, for some reason, these poly locks are too wide in diameter for these Harland Sharp rockers, which is weird though, because the website says they're, you know, the minimum for a 650 is the minimum opening on for the opening of your rocker there. But basically, they just didn't fit. They were way too big, probably by 5,000 or 6,000. We probably could open them up or, you know, machine them down, but I don't want to. So my little helper's back. Basically, we're taking the gasket sealer, putting it in the corners where the intake gasket goes on. Right now, we're actually going around the water passages. It's just a little trick that basically just make sure you're sealing your water passage out. It's something you definitely want to do and take care of. And then it also helps stick your intake gaskets really well so that you don't have any worries with it, so sliding or getting out of position. So now we're doing that 1/4 inch bead all the way around along the edge of the front and rear edge of the engine block there, basically so that when we put the intake down on it, it's going to have a nice sealing surface and we're not going to blow out any oil through those 2 passages there. Us a new Edlebrock Super Victor intake. It actually had a Super Victor Junior on it, or a Victor Junior on it. Basically, the difference is the Super Victor is a little taller. It's got longer runners, so it's going to actually increase some flow and it can give us a little bit more horsepower. It's also going to be a little bit more punchier, so it's going to be nice for drag racing. Basically, this intake is perfect for perfect for this application, along with these heads and on this engine. I think it's going to flow really nicely, and I think we're actually going to, you know, increase our time quite a bit. Plus, it just looks really, really fancy. All new stuff. Looks like we know what we're doing when we really don't. We're a bunch of dummies going to the drag strip just hoping for it. So that's pretty much that. You're going to see us tightening up all the intake bolts. Basically, you're supposed to take them 25 foot-pounds, but you can never really get a good torque on them, so you just kind of get them tight to where you think you're good, which is kind of what we're doing. A little helper there is going strong. She's doing her best. She's actually getting them really tight. Basically, next time you see us, we're going to be putting on the rest of everything else. So the carburetor is going to go on. The distributor is going to be dropped in. We're going to try to, get some better poly locks so we can actually use the girdles that we got there, because I don't really want to mess with those too much. But yeah, that's pretty much today's video, and then that's gonna be it for now. We got to get some other plugs going to the intake there and seal it up, make sure that we don't have anything so there's no water coming out of those extra passages, because there's extra cooling passages there. All right, tune in next time.